Hi everybody, this is Judy McKee and I'm just starting the second session for today, and it's kind of interesting. Over the years there are a couple of things that I do that get a lot of audience, a lot of people participating. One of them is always coaching. Everybody wants to know how to coach, so any session that I do on coaching is absolutely filled up with people. If I do a session on the art of asking questions, oh no, they don't fill it up. But that's, remember I said in the last class, never mind, I won't say it again. But people who don't pay attention to that can't make as good as sales. No, they absolutely cannot. Because they need to know how to ask questions. So that gets the least amount of people, and I think it's one of the most important sessions. The other session that people are always demanding that I do, in fact, I've done it on the internet 3 or 4 different times all over Europe and in different places, is called Would You Like Fries with That?, which is upselling and cross-selling. And we did a little of that last month. This month, I am going to handle the other one that gets the most attention, and that is handling difficult people. Customer service representatives always want to know how to handle difficult people. Oh, I forgot to turn my mail off again. Hold on a minute. Turn that whole darn thing off. There you go. I can edit now, and I can just edit that right out. All right, so let me start with saying handling difficult people is, in fact, one of the simplest things in the world that you can do. Handling difficult people is one of the simplest things in the world to do. But people come to my sessions all the time on this because they think it's the hardest thing in the world to do. And so today I'm going to give you an idea of how to handle those difficult people, what it takes on your part for an attitude. Of course, it's always going to follow the rule of never making the customer wrong or stupid. But then I'm going to show you how certain people plug you in. Certain people get you angry with them right back. They might be angry with you, but you didn't have to get angry back, but you felt you didn't have a choice. That's the key. And so we're going to do that for the next 45 minutes or so. And this is probably one of the most intense courses I do because there's a lot of behavioral science behind it. It's not airy-fairy, it's not metaphysical, it's not just have a good attitude and everything will all work out. I've got some specifics and some ways and means that you have to change to listen to your customer in a whole new way. So, handling difficult people and handling people that make you crazy is what we're going to do today. So what I'd like you to do right now, before we even start, is I want you to think of your mind as like a blank screen. And you've already put all kinds of words all over it. You've got thoughts and ideas and tricks up your sleeve and intentions, bad relationships. You remember that phone call yesterday when they were really ugly? Well, I want you to take an eraser right now, and I want you to erase that entire screen of what you have going on right now. Take a deep breath, and for this next 40 minutes or so, be with me as if you didn't know me, you didn't know what you were going to be taught, you don't know what's coming down the pike. You're completely free and open to new things. If you will do that for the next 45 minutes, what's going to happen to you is you are going to hear something that you never heard before. The reason you couldn't hear it before is because our minds are working 24 hours a day to remind us of our faults and what we deserve and what we don't deserve and what our mother said and what the boss said and what the customer said and yesterday, all the yesterdays of yesterday are all in your head. And yet, If for one 45-minute period you could go, erase all that, act like I know nothing, then I have the chance to put something in there that was never there before, or was there but was never seen because you were so busy trying to be right about what's already in your mind. So I want you to suspend the righteousness in your own mind. Suspend it just for this class, because handling difficult people is the simplest thing in the world. The problem really is that you think it's hard. And remember, I've said it many times, anything you resist will persist. Okay? All right, so let's get started. Let's find out what we have to do in order to succeed with those people who drive us nuts. So this is called winning with people who drive you crazy. Let's learn to identify the crazy makers. Let's learn to identify them and find out, wait a minute, could we adapt to them? Wouldn't that be great? Since all they want to be is right, and all we want to be is good and successful and peaceful and loving and caring and make money at the end of the day. That's all we want. We want to be paid for what we do. So let's win with people who drive us crazy. You know, they look like this. They either screaming bloody murder. My mother used to say that. Stop screaming bloody murder. I never got that till I grew way older. But that's so funny, isn't it? Quit screaming bloody murder. My mother said so many wonderful things. I'm trying to remember them now and write them down because she said so many terrific things. You know, she was the one who told me, if you think you're so smart, you've got another thing coming. She would have been about 100 years old right now if she had lived. But you know what? Our parents did say some really great things. It's just that we were always angry with them. You know, the classic case of the parent just wanting the child to be happy, but the child just wanting the parent to be wrong. Ah, that's right. So we see these people. You know, those are the crazy, angry people, the stupid, ignorant, don't even speak right people, the people we judge and evaluate all the time. Well, there is a certain technique that you can learn to identify the behavioral styles of other people, and I'm going to give you some ideas. That's why this class is more intense than others. This has got more facts in it. This has got more real serious research and learning in it. And it's actually the most exciting thing I ever learned. And I'm going to share some of it with you today with regard to handling people who drive you nuts. Okay? All right. So let's take a look at what's next. I think all of you have heard me say it too many times. You could be getting tired of it. I actually don't want you to ever get tired of it, and here's why. Because it is the basis of my training. It is the bottom line, the function that's on the very, very bottom. And I've also discovered on a religious sense or a spiritual side or a political side or whatever place you are in the world, whatever you're doing, whenever you make the other person feel wrong or stupid, your life is not going to work. Your life is not going to work the way you want it to. I know you think you are right and that it's important to point out your righteousness to other people, but it isn't. That has been something you've been trained in. Somebody told you that. It's not true. I know I'm the only one to tell you that, but it isn't true. It is not true. The truth is people do anything they want for their own issues, not yours. People are motivated by their own stuff, not yours. You know, it's like when you dress up for a party and you think, oh gosh, I hope I look good. I hope I look good. You know what? Nobody even notices how you look. They're incredibly interested in how they look. So if you want to have a good time at a party, your best bet would to go up to someone else and say how beautiful you look. And they will think you are fascinating. It's because everybody has got the arrow pointing at themselves when they're trying to do anything. They want to be right. They want to be smart. They want to be righteous sometimes. Sometimes they overdo it. But it's time now to get off of that train that either includes you going way off to the right and not, and being right about everything you do, or way off to the left where you give in and lay down. No, there's that beautiful middle ground where you realize you have a choice at every given moment. And your choices need to be the choices that make the customer feel right and smart. If you will do that, the customer will pay you back in bonuses. No kidding. Because everybody always makes them wrong, which is why they are defensive. So, not even by tone, no, rolling your eyes. No. Whenever you do that, you've just made them wrong. Like this client that we have that people have an automatic renew on their program that they signed up for. And if they don't click off on that, then they get automatically renewed. Then they call in and complain. And in the old days when I first got there, they used to say, well, sir, did you click on the website and then give us the credit card? You did do that, didn't you? Now, what do you think happened? You think that customer just loved that agent? Oh, no. All right, so realize it's all about you creating a safe environment for the customer, even when they're bad-mannered, rude, sad, ugly, mean. They're being mean to you, but that does not mean you have to be automatically mean back. Not at all. All right, let's go to the next slide. Why won't it go? There we go. All right. Now, this is why we know that things are incredibly simple is the reason that you see on your screen right now. I can't impress this enough on you. So I want you to really clean out that mind. Don't worry about anything I already said. Give it all up. Let it go. Let it go. And learn this. There are only 3 upsets in the entire world. Only 3, which means all you have to do is learn how to handle 3 upsets, okay? The first upset is called an unfulfilled expectation. We've all had them. It means that I expect you to do a certain thing, and you do not do it, right? In other words, I had all my hopes and dreams when I was the customer picking up the phone and talking to you that you would fill me with happiness. Yeah. Now, since you didn't fill me with happiness, I am now upset. Piece of cake. Easy. Anytime you have an unfulfilled expectation, that will make you crazy. Well, that's what happened to the customer. They went crazy. And why? Because they had an expectation and you did not fill it. Ah, yes. Now that brings us to the second upset. A thwarted intention. Now, that means the customer had intended to do something. They did the job, they bought the equipment, whatever they did. They were your customer and they did something. And that something that they did not get completed for themselves, so they didn't get to do what they wanted to do. So let's say your customer wanted to sing like a lark, but somehow the teacher that you got them to learn to sing from did not fulfill their expectation. So now they have two upsets. They have an unfulfilled expectation and they have a thwarted intention. They are not singing like a lark. Yeah. So the second one is where they want to do something, but because of your product or your service, they do not get to do it. Makes no sense, does it? Makes no sense at all. So the third one is called an undelivered communication. Now this means that they're not allowed to communicate to you what they really feel, so they withhold it. Or in your case, you do not get to say to them what you're really thinking, so you have an upset called an undelivered communication. This means people who hate confrontation withhold things. And then they get you later because things just don't go away. Everything has a place in this world. So that's the only upsets there are. Someone had an undelivered communication. I mean, many times I've wanted to tell Microsoft where to go, right? Especially when I have a problem and I call up and they say, did you plug it in? Right? Yes. So I give them an answer like that. Duh, I did plug it in. All right. So, but they made me wrong with the first statement. Did you plug in the computer? Or some such thing. Something that is a stupid question, so it makes me feel dumb and stupid. And when I feel dumb and stupid, of course, I do what everybody else does. I automatically attack. All right. So let's take a look at what we have to do in order to make life work better for everybody. All right? Let's figure that out. Let's figure out what would it take to make things really work. Well, the first thing that has to happen when anyone is upset or driving you nuts or giving you any trouble, the first thing you have to do is learn to empathize. See, empathy means to really put yourself in their shoes. Really put yourself in their shoes. I know you've heard it in every training class. You've heard everyone say, oh, wait a minute, walk a mile in their shoes. It's way deeper than that. That's why it's hard to do. If my teacher, Richard Byrne, told me you actually have to experience. My teacher, Richard Byrne, said to me once, if you really want to know what empathy is actually experiencing what the other person is experiencing. Now, some of you have had this experience, but you didn't know what it was. That's like, have you ever seen somebody burst into tears and become sad and cry over something? And what happened? It wasn't your thing, but you immediately cried too. It brought you to tears. Something happened to someone else that is really not you, and yet you began to cry. Why? Why? Because it touched you in some way. It made you feel what they were feeling for just a little instant. And it was enough to bring tears to your eyes. That's important. That's empathy. Now, we're taking 80 calls a day or 100 calls a day. Sometimes it's very hard to get empathetic. It doesn't mean sympathy. It means to understand completely what the other person is experiencing. Now, if you could do that, you know, no two things can be in the same space at the same time. I think that's on one of my other slides, but no two things can be in the same space at the same time. So if someone is really angry, I take my voice up. Because not like teachers teach you lower it down, take it down, take it down. Maybe that works with children, but not grown-ups. Grown-ups get angry. I go, no, kidding, what happened? And now you notice I came down just a little. Because I'm going to get into their skin if I can. I'm going to see what really happened. What would make them feel that bad? What could cause them to be that upset with me? What unfulfilled expectation do they have? What intention did they have that we seem to have thwarted? And what communication are they afraid to tell me or deliver? People don't tell you the truth. Did you ever see the first show and the last show of House? What is his number one rule? Everybody lies. Well, it's not that they want to lie to you. It's just that they are afraid to tell you the truth. So you first thing you want to really learn how to do is let the customer vent without you judging it. Instead, you go, oh, no, oh, yeah, tell me more. When did that happen? What was the date? What was the time? What was the incident? See if you can get the facts. Agree with the customer that, of course, that would make them angry. You see, those two things can't be in the same space at the same time. I'm angry with you. Well, of course you are. Guess what? It disappears. Never interrupt without using the customer's name. So if someone was angry with me and yelled at me and their name was Crystal, I would say, Crystal, I'm so sorry to hear that. Now, the moment I say Crystal, which is her name, what happens is her attention comes immediately to me. That's why you don't say Mrs. McKee with attitude, because that makes you too smart. Ma'am, I've heard that so many times. Yes, ma'am. So you really don't empathize. You really are angry with that customer. And so you used the words ma'am to make you right and them wrong. We do it all the time. I used to do it to my mother. Yes, mother. I didn't mean yes, mother. I meant I'm angry with you. I'm sassing you. Because my mother would immediately say, what is that sass? And then I'd have to change my tone because I realized that even though I did get that little dart in, I didn't need it. All right, so you want to empathize, let them vent within a constant running acknowledgement. Yes, I get it. And then what? And then what? And then what? And then what? Get the whole story. Because if you don't get the whole story when there's someone upset, what will happen is they will continue to repeat the same story over and over and over and over again. Now, if you know the llama technique, and one customer is all that is new, to acknowledge what you heard means to let the other person know you heard and understood. So you run a common running acknowledgement. My old business partner, Channing, used to do it to me, and I would say to her, wait a minute. I don't think you really got that. I think you're just saying that. And she would go, okay, 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 okay. And I said, fine. I said, no, no, no. You can't say 10 okays in a row because I don't think you really got it now. I think you're just saying okay. And she would go, okay. I said, well, at least I got that one. A running acknowledgement is when someone is telling you a story, a very long story. Now, if you do not receive the story, get the story, complete that story with empathy on your side, they will repeat themselves until they drive you crazy. Once you really get that, then you will start to practice mastering the art of listening and acknowledging. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Oh, I got it. Of course. That would make me mad, too. Certainly. Absolutely. I get it. I get it. Uh-huh. I see it. Then what? What day did this happen? Exactly when? Oh, right in the middle of dinner. Oh, that's awful. See? And then you can agree without interrupting. You're just acknowledging, running on through that call or running on through that upset. And let that customer vent because they have an unfulfilled expectation. They have probably a thwarted intention. And if you let them communicate, at least 1/3 of it all goes away. They will not have an undelivered communication. They will start to deliver it to you. So then you want to learn to solve, dissolve, or resolve. Solve means you make it go away completely. Dissolve means you took the issue and you smoothed it out until it was to their good, for their advantage. And resolve means you've literally given them an answer to a problem and you've resolved it. It's over. If you intend to be righteous, you not only won't get to win, but you won't even get to play. The customer will slam the phone on your ear. And you just hope that quality isn't listening when that happens. It's really good to be smart. It's really good to have a choice. It's really good to offer a solution, to try to dissolve something, or to resolve the problem with a good discussion. But it's never good to be righteous and slam down that gavel as if here comes the judge. It just will not work, and not just for you. It won't work for you, it won't work for the customer, and it won't work for the company. Sally has this new management training course now that's called the three-party promise, where it has to be good for the company, it has to be good for the agent, and it has to be good for the customer. Or it's not the right solution. It has to be good for everybody. I never can find my little, what's wrong with my mouse today? Aha! Very good. All right, now sometimes you will hear this. An angry, shouting, using foul language person, someone completely out of control. Now, I don't know what your company feels like about this, but I personally would give them a shot. I always give them a shot. I give them a shot because I know no two things can be in the space at the same time. They, however, may not like me and be so out of control that I cannot help them, all right? So I usually have a word or a phrase that I use, and that word or a phrase will be strong because, see, I have a lot of confidence. You may have noticed that. I have a whole lot of confidence. Now, that confidence doesn't come from me being confident. It comes from 30 years on the phone and 30 years training people. And all those years I've accumulated a certain amount of knowledge and a certain amount of experience and a certain amount of experience where I can let go of a certain amount of things. But I also know that if I shout back at the person, they still won't like me. But if I give them a safe environment, they may, remember this word now, they may, I'm not saying I have the fix. I am saying that if you can create a safe environment, see, I did it again, I plugged back in the phone. If they can create a safe environment for you, after you create a safe environment for them, you will then have a good solution to the problem. So when you hear this person, you need to remember a couple of things. There is a trick in our voices. No two things can be in the same space at the same time. I mean, that's a law of physics. I didn't make that up. Albert Einstein made it up. No two things can be in the same space at the same time. That's why atom bombs happen. Two atoms try to go together into the same space and you have what? An explosion. Well, when you recreate their upset with your empathy, the upset starts to be lesser than it was before. It's only when you fight their upset that it continues. Everything you resist will persist. So no things can be in the same space at the same time. So start your tone at the same level as that of the customer. It will be a great thing for you to do So if they're screaming, you don't go, thank you so much, sir. As if to say, because I now am speaking softly, you will speak softly to me. Oh, no. Just get on the phone. You will find out something very interesting. They will not only not come down to your voice, they will steamroll you most of the time. It's much better to get your tone up to their level and take it down slowly with every llama. So if they say, I hate all you people, your response is simply, oh no, well, we hate when we hear that, so what can we do to help you? They will come in with that tone right there that you just left off. They're going to go, well, you didn't do this or that. Now you know what? They have a thwarted intention or unfulfilled expectation. And you go, oh, I can see that. You expected something and you didn't get it, right? That's right. I sure didn't. And because I didn't get it, I didn't get to do X. Oh, no. Okay, I get it. So you had an expectation and we missed the boat, and then you wanted to do something about it, and then you missed the boat because of us. Is that right? Well, now you're talking. That's exactly right. All right. Now, I am an expert on that, so let me see what I can do to fix it, okay? And I'll start right now if you just give me a minute, all right? What's your account number? Bingo. Winner. Why? Because now the customer has come down to the level that we can be grown-ups. That's the key. We can be grown-ups now. All right. Now let's take a look at the different kinds. Now this is where we're going to get picky, all right? We want to be able to identify the crazy makers. There is always the blamer. Now this person puts off responsibility. They use reasons for cover. In other words, they are so upset, but they don't want to admit that it could possibly be them because no one wants to do that. The first instinct we have for survival is to blame somebody else. Because how stupid are we if we do everything wrong? Okay, so we don't want to admit that. What we want to do is just immediately handle the fact that somebody did this to us. So the blamer, they put off responsibility and they use reasons for cover. So if they start blaming you in an ugly way and giving you a lot of difficulty, remember this, they are pretending that difficulty. They pretend they don't understand. They complain about everything. They're moaners and whiners. Yeah, and why? Because they put off responsibility and they don't want anyone else to think they could possibly have ever done anything wrong. There's the disturber. Ah, that's more like me. Yes, the disturber loves trouble and plays with people's minds. All right, since the first person is the blamer, and the blamer is a whiner and a moaner and a groaner, and nothing is ever their responsibility, and everything is always in the hands of everybody else. But the second one that you might have to handle would be someone like me, who just loves to argue. I mean, you know, someone wants to argue with me, and when I'm in the mood and I've got the time, I'm going to go, bring it on. What could be more fun than arguing? I mean, as long as I create a safe environment for them, or I hope they create a safe environment for me. I don't know if they will or not. Usually, they feel blameless when they break the rules. That would be me. I would break the rule and then come back later and say, what? There were rules about that? I didn't know. They're very manipulative. Oh, yes, I can be manipulative. Yes, I can. And they create incidents. In other words, there didn't have to be a problem, but they get lonesome, so they create one just so the mailman will have to come in the house and show them something. I don't know. I'm making this stuff up. But what I want you to get is the disturber is the kind of a person who actually likes to fight. That would usually be kind of a high D personality or high I personality. I mean, they like themselves and have such high self-esteem, they don't even care. They would argue with you just for the sake of it. I may have told you about once when I went to Fry's. I might not have told you the story, but I'll make it quick. I bought something that was in a plastic container, and when I got home and I opened it, it wasn't the thing I wanted. So I had to get back in my car, drive all the way back to Fry's, and go back to the department where I said to the man, you said that this had an automatic cover, but it doesn't have a cover. And he said, oh, he was really sorry. I should get the other one. And here it is. And it's also sealed and permaplaqued forever. So I went through the checkout stand. And when I got to the end of the checkout stand, I paid for this item. It was $49.95. I put it on my credit card. I got credit for the first one, and then I put this on the credit card. And then the young man who was standing in front of me was politely saying, is there anything else? And I said, oh, yes, there is something else. I said, I'd like you to open this package. And he goes, what? I can't open that, ma'am. I don't have anything to open it with. I said, oh, you mean you don't have a dangerous knife or a cutter or some really sharp instrument right near the cash register so that you could open this? See, this is called a disturber. This is somebody who wants to start trouble. That was me. And he goes, well, ma'am, people are waiting in line. You could just take this home. And I said, no, I want you to open it. He says, ma'am, I can't open it, but I might have to get a supervisor. And I go, wonderful. Get a supervisor. That's what we need, a supervisor. Get one. Bring him in. And, of course, the supervisor comes over. The supervisor then gets a scissors, cuts off the top, opens the package, shows me it has a lid, puts it back together, and puts it back in the bag, very politely, too. And I said, well, thank you so much. And I said, you might mention to the company that makes these things that senior citizens like myself, we don't like to go home and have to pull out a butcher knife and start chopping and cutting away at plastic, and then having it not be the right thing, and then having to come all the way back. I mean, we don't like cutting anyway, but you're making packages impossible, and we're a big buying public. And he said, yes, ma'am, I mentioned it. And I said, good, thank you so much. And then this lady from the line who was waiting in line says, good job. Next time, let's take on Target. So that was probably another disturber who just loves seeing me make a case. That's the kind of person you're watching out for, because they like to be manipulative. They like to create an incident. I loved it that everybody was looking at me, not the same as the protective person who keeps things secret. They're withdrawn and uncommunicative. They're slow, and they wander. Their mind wanders, and they don't know what they want, except they know they don't want to be confrontational. They build a wall to keep themselves up from taking any ownership. That's a very difficult situation for you to deal with. But you know what? You're well off because you do know how to deal with it. Now, the blamer, of course, that blamer person, what they want absolutely is to be appreciated. And they want you to appreciate them, and they want you to appreciate them fast. So they have emotional needs. They have accept complaints. Be surprised. Get agreement. So when you have that blamer, you need to accept the idea that they have a complaint. And so what you do is you go, oh, really? I can't believe that ever broke. I'm so sorry you couldn't open that. And I'm going to fix that right away. Give them a solution. No parental reactions. They will destroy you. Handling a crazy maker who wants to be parental, who wants to get you, don't be parental to them. Don't say, well, this one time will really help you. What? Don't say that. That will make you look silly and will make them upset even more. And you don't want that. You want the upset to go away, and the way to go away is to create a safe environment for it. So be appreciative. Do it quite fast. Get surprised if anything goes wrong. Like if someone has a late delivery on something, and then they call you, don't say, oh, yeah, they're really late out in the delivery department. No, you act like that, and you never heard that complaint in 20 years. You go, oh, no, it was late? Oh, my gosh, we're usually right on time or early. Let me see what I can do about fixing that. I will find out the solution to this immediately. When was it supposed to be delivered? I'll track it right now. You see, what you're going to do is make them right. That would be the key. Now, in the case of the disturber, you see, you want to check values and ask them questions. You want to give them agreement and obtain whatever it is that they need or want. You want to use questions and use feedback. And you want to set limits because otherwise they will take over. No kidding. They will take over, just like I did with that poor young man. I mean, really. I had a lot of fun with him. Why? Because it was really fun for me. I liked doing that. It was a trick. I wanted to show them that they were wrong and I was right. And at the same time, I didn't really want to push this poor kid, but I knew that he would have to get a supervisor, and that was show business to me. I wanted him to get one. I want those people, whoever permaplaque everything together, to understand how hard it is to take it home, open it up, and then find out you have the wrong thing. I mean, that whole thing took me an hour and a half, and it should have taken me 30 minutes. But they took an hour and a half of my life, which, you know, they were never empathetic toward. That's right. They never understood what it meant to be to have to drive over there, drive home, drive back, try to open it, all that. They didn't care about that. They just cared about the next person in line. Move it, move it, move it. So if you had me, the thing to do would be to ask me questions. If you have that disturber, it's always much easier to say, you know what? You're right, that is a hard thing to open. Let me see what I can do about opening it for you. Really? Or you could set limits. Like you could say, you know what, Mrs. McKee, I get your point entirely. Now I have a long line of people to handle, so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. If you would step aside over here just for a minute, I will get a supervisor or another agent that's right around here to come and open it for you. Okay? And that whole scene would have been avoided, by the way. So learn to ask questions and get feedback from that person, because all they want to do is have some show business. They love a good argument. And you didn't take the whole argument away, but you did solve the problem. And of course, that last one, that's the what I call the steady stable. This is the person who is very, very protective. They go very, very slowly. They're on the phone with you, but they don't know what to do. So your goal really is to slow down and to go in baby steps. Now, I'll give you an example. Sally was training a company that had a fulfillment, and in this fulfillment, they had to sometimes they had to send back something that people had sent to them. In other words, no, that's not right. The company was not only the sales company for this product, but sometimes the customer returned the items. Returning the items was very complicated. It wasn't just stick a label on it and send it. And so because of this, it took a long time to explain. So once Sally was coaching them, she realized that the directions were way too hard for this steady, stable relator personality. This was the person who was buying the product. This product was being sold almost exclusively to homemakers, housewives, young people. Actually, it was cosmetics. And they were the same kind of people who bought this particular kind of cosmetic. I don't want to say what it is and name the client, but it was a very big, big client. And the directions to send things back was very difficult. So when people called up, they were upset, and they had a thwarted intention. They want to return this package, and they want to return it right now. They have an unfulfilled expectation. I shouldn't have all this much product. I got too much product. And they have an expectation. They should be able to just stamp on it, return to sender, and put it out in the mailbox. But no, it was very complicated. That's what those left-brainers have done for us. They've complicated everything. At any rate, Sally recognized this. And then Sally said, okay, here's what we can do. It is difficult. Yeah, so we grant that it is difficult to return this item. In fact, it's complicated to return the item. Is there some way that we can cut the call time, help the agent, help the customer, and help the company? What would it take to have all three be satisfied? And here's what she did. She took the directions, recognizing this protective, steady, stable relator personality, recognizing that, and also recognizing that they wouldn't confront anything. They would just keep acting like they didn't know what to do. And she did this. She set up the return to go one step at a time. So what she did was she had all the agents write out, she wrote them out a little script that said, you know, it is kind of difficult to send back, but we want you to send it back. It's just that right now with the way the fulfillment goes and the way our back room operates, it's a little harder than you think. But you know what? I'm going to dissolve the whole issue by giving you directions, and I'm going to give them to you one at a time so it makes it very easy for you to get this job done, okay? And this sweet, protective, steady stable who was all upset in the dither said, oh, okay. And then we wrote down, all right, get a pencil ready because this is step one. Step one. And she spelled it out. And then she said, good, was I clear about that? Not did you get it, but was I clear about that? And the customer goes, oh yeah, okay, what do I do after that? Well, step two, you do this, this, and this. Okay, yeah, I got it. And then step three, you go right down to the post office, give it to the postmaster, they'll send it to us, and when we get it, immediately, within 24 hours, your credit card will be credited for the full amount, okay? And then the customer said, oh, I get it. Okay, that works. Okay, terrific. Thank you so much. We cut a 4 or 5 minute phone call explaining how to return something down to 113 seconds. That's under 2 minutes. That made that company millions. Oh, I wish I'd taken a piece of that action. I should have taken $1 for every one. But the point is this. Once you know how to handle them, and once you give them credit and don't make them wrong and stupid, I'm telling you, you're going to have less call time. The company is going to be happy. The customer is going to go away happy. And you're going to be happy because you're going to feel so smart about how you handled it all. It's not that hard. All right, where's my next slide? All right. So what it takes for you to do this job is that you have to use the llama and control the conversation. You have to control the conversation, not let them have control. See? So always end on a question and move the path with the question. So you want to say to that customer something on the order of, oh, what you want is clearer directions on how to send that package back quickly, don't you? Oh, customer says, I sure do. Customer says, that's exactly what I want. All right. Or in the case of the disturber, you know, I said, I can't open, I want someone to open this package. Oh, I get it. Yeah, those are kind of hard to open, aren't they? Let me see what I can do. I'm going to get you somebody with the scissors, and they'll just cut off the top of that package and make it very easy for you to open, all right? You see, the whole thing would have gone away had he done that. Yes. So we want to understand that it's much better to acknowledge than explain, and then have to ask for forgiveness after. I mean, the supervisor had to apologize to me for taking so long, etc., etc. But if he had trained that young man in the first place how to handle an upset with a customer, understand that that customer who was me had an unfulfilled expectation that that first package would have been exactly right, and that I wasn't going to take a risk on the second package, so therefore he could have said, oh, what you want me to do is open that to make it easier for you? Yes. Good. I'll have someone come right over here with the scissors. Hold on just a minute, Mrs. McKee. Would you mind standing aside just a second? I'll get somebody with the scissors, okay? And I would have said, perfect. And the whole thing would have been over, and darn it, I wouldn't have had so much fun. You know the disturber just loves to have fun. All right, so let's talk a minute about anger. You know, sometimes people are just so angry that you can't fix them. And I think we have to really understand that. The world is scared right now. They're scared financially. This is a different time on the planet, you know. I mean, I guess I better put in a word for my deep belief system. But it's just that it's a different time on the planet now than it's ever been in all the history of our planet. I mean, right now people can ruin the whole planet with a bomb or two, nuclear bombs or hydrogen bombs or whatever. Now, everyone is actually knowledgeable about that, so we all know on some level that we all just blow away. Financially, we've got problems. We owe people money. They owe us money. Nobody tells the truth. The people who owe us money are never paying us back, but we will always pay back what we owe. That's how life is around the USA. So we've got problems financially. And we have problems with the air we breathe and the food we eat. I think people are sicker than they've ever been, and we're all washing our hands 25 times a day. I don't know that that's healing anyone. But I do know this. It is different. So if we could consider that the world really is different, it's not just back in the day and all that. It really is different. When I was young, these things weren't as dangerous. The kids played outside and we had much more freedom. At 10 years old, we were riding our bikes miles from house because we knew where we lived and the world was safer. Today, it is so different. That means that underlying all the things people say to you on the phones is all that other stuff, and that's big stuff. So let's try to see if we could be friendlier and kinder and offer good news whenever possible. All right? So when the customer says, something to us, we could say, oh, no, that is maddening. The prices from our vendors keeps going up as well, but the good news is that we can save you money for the next 2 years by keeping that price fixed for the next 24 months when you call for refills, okay? In other words, we do have some good news. Let's see if we can't offer the good news. Give that customer good news. And, of course, when someone calls in and they're very, very screaming bloody loud, very loud and with feeling, Mr. Patient, I know that address was incomplete and twice, but here I am and I'm going to fix it right now. You really don't have to have a heart attack over this because I'm telling you I can fix an address change like that. Now, what is that zip code? Now, you see I took the voice up. Maybe that was a little sarcastic now that I read it. But the idea is that the question was data-based. Notice the question is data-based. In other words, I took it back to a question that, of course, that customer knows the answer to. What is your new zip code? All right, or something so that I can help them to fix the issue. That's a key to helping them, is to get more and more specific with the issue. Now, one of the things that you always want to remember is that what do people really mean when they say what they say? Well, when the customer says one thing, here is what they really mean. I hate all you people. Now, that's an expression that is used because they wish they really could say this. I wish I had never called you. I should have done what my friend told me to do instead. Why does this always happen to me? That's what they were thinking. I called you over and over again. What they mean is you abandoned me. This feels the same as when my daddy left. The customer was abandoned and they feel like a stupid person because they held on for that long. Get me a manager or a supervisor. Okay. They told me I would get the price reduced if I talked to someone higher in authority. Yeah, that happens. It does happen. That's the interesting thing. I didn't find the perfect mate yet. It's been a week. Oh, I worked for eHarmony for 3 years. Totally fun. What a great job that was. I loved it. But here's what they really meant by that. I have been insulted before, but never rejected by a computer software. No wonder it hurts. I didn't agree to pay that, you rip-off artists. You scam artists. Yes. What they really meant was, I thought I could get it for free and trick you into feeling guilty and letting me have it. Ah, that's what they really meant. Isn't it interesting, huh? So here's a table of words to help handle the customer. I'm busy right now. Oh, the customer hates that. So instead, you say, I'll be with you in just a minute, just a few minutes, or I can call you back with that information within the hour. Would that work for you? Now, notice the llama technique here. I'll call you back later. That doesn't mean anything. It has no meaning. It has no date. It has no time. It has nothing. So instead, be specific. May I have your number, and I will call you back in a few minutes, okay? Now, that means a few minutes. A few minutes is like 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes. Okay. Obviously, never say that. Obviously. No, re-inspire them. Sell it to them. Oh, that's from Gypsy. Sell it, June! Mother yells from off stage. Sell it to him, June! Well, it's much better to say, you are right. Let me see about that. What were you looking for when you signed up? See? Our policy does not allow that. Don't be righteous. Our policy, the world's worst expression on customer service is, that's not our policy. You know, I'm telling you something. The customer couldn't care less about your policy. So for you to use it as a reason is just a way to start a fight. Since we both have different points of view, Mr. Customer, let me look at it from your way. And then I think we can come up with some kind of agreement, okay? Oh, you mean you want to negotiate? You mean you want to think maybe I'm right? Never ask why. Never do this. The question is wrong. It's pushy. It's intrusive. Instead, you say this. May I ask what caused you to make that decision? Because don't say, why did you do that? Or why did you buy it in the first place? Or why did you think I would help you? Or why did you get that shirt? Or why didn't you call when we weren't busy? You know, that book that lady wrote, it says, your call is not that important to me. No kidding. All right, really? Now, this is something I hear on the phones a lot, and I want it to disappear forevermore. Say it again and prove it is what really, really means. Really? Really? You have to prove it? Yes. So instead you say, oh, no, I will find out exactly what happened and do my best to fix it. When did you first notice the problem? Notice I am getting down to something specific. Okay? All right, I'm going to go online now, and I'm going to say to you, what fun it is to be here. I'm going to be here for the whole year. At the end of this year, I won't be here, I don't think, because, well, I might be here, but I won't have time to do the lessons because I'm going to start training trainers all over the USA. So I'm so glad that you are here and that you are going to be able to participate with us for this year. If you haven't paid your dues, believe me, we know who you are. The rest of you have paid for the year, and I want to thank you very much because I need to make a little money. I mean, how can I buy a hat here and there? I mean, what's $139 to you? It's not very much to me either, but the thing is that when you pile it up over 23 times, it's not kidding. Some nice money there. And I want it. I do, and I deserve it. I worked hard. Anyway, I thank you all for being here. Come back in an hour from now, and we're going to do sales. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to even learn more things. So thank you for being here. I'm going to put on the slide that says coffee break time. Well, I can't find it. I'll put it up in a minute. And in the meantime, why don't you just come and play with us as often as possible? All right? And by the way, if you have sister companies or other companies, invite them to come in for the last 6 months. It won't hurt them. They'll learn a lot. And they'll thank you for it. Yes, they will. Bye-bye.